today's webinar is going to focus on the ICAP Oklahoma features and talk about a few of the different ways that you can track and monitor ICAP inside of OKCareerGuide. So the objective today is that you'll walk away knowing how to customize and implement, as well as report on the ICAP Oklahoma feature to make it right for your school and your students. Just in terms of our agenda today, we'll do a brief introduction because there are some names on the list that I don't recognize. So I'm excited to meet you, or at least introduce myself to you and be a resource for you. But we'll also go over OKCareerGuide as a very quick snapshot. I know that there are some veterans on this list that know the system maybe even better than I do, but I promise that snapshot will be very quick. I just want to make sure that everybody gets a holistic view of the system. Then we'll talk about the ICAP related components inside of CareerGuide, as well as the ICAP Oklahoma feature. We'll highlight the reporting aspect of it as well, and then any Q&A that you like. Just in terms of the support that you have available, again, my name is AJ Kroll, and I work at the Oklahoma Department of Career Tech in Stillwater. That means I get to work with all 29 tech centers across the state, as well as a number of high schools. Basically, it means I live out of my car, is what it means. So my email is there included for you, aj.kroll@careertech.ok.gov, and then my phone number, 405-743-5105. And you're welcome to contact me anytime, and I'll do my best to respond. It just might come at 11:30 at night sometimes. For those moments when you need help right away, Cooter has a client engagement line that is open from 7 a.m. to 6 p.m. Monday through Friday. That number is there on the screen, 877-999-6227. It's also found at the bottom of almost all CareerGuide pages where it says help. If you have a number of our little documents, our pocket guides that we've handed out, it's included in there. And they also have an email, clientengagement@cooter.com. I bring that up because it is an invaluable resource available for you. If you've got a group of 25 kids in front of you and technology just is not working, or a page isn't loading, or you can't remember where to find something, they are an excellent resource for you. I would definitely encourage you to use that. Additionally, if you are in the middle of some really frustrating project, maybe you're trying to, I heard about a month or so ago of a counselor who was on day 3 of updating the education plan, customizing the education plan for her school. And so that would be that I imagine she was ready to flip the table. If you'd like, you can call that phone number or email them, and you should be good to go. Or they should be able to help you out and get you squared away in case you have any questions. For those of you that don't know, we do have a website called ctu.org. That's ctyu.org. If you have worked with Career Tech and for very long, you may have been to that webpage. It serves as kind of a repository for all of our divisions, and you don't need to log in for our resources. You just go to ctu.org and scroll down a little bit and select Career and Academic Connections. If it asks you to log in, you can just log in as guest, but you shouldn't need to. But anywho, there you can find a number of really helpful resources, including the Direct Your Future curriculum, which, if you're not familiar, is a turnkey, ready-to-go curriculum. It's scripted, it's got lesson plans, handouts, activities, everything that you would need to implement career awareness and development in any class. If you have like teachers as advisors, this would be a great resource for them to use in the classes. And then like if you gave ICAP to an English teacher who's never done this before and is confused, this might be another really powerful resource for them as well. Additionally, we have lots of worksheets and checklists that you might find valuable in terms of walking students through the program. And then additional things like the cluster icons and the career field icons in case you wanted to do a little bit of branding, maybe post those outside of the classrooms or implement it in your enrollment process. All that's available again at ctu.org under Career and Academic Connections. If you have any questions about how to get to it, feel free to shoot me an email. So we're going to jump in here on OKCareerGuide and how it is helpful. So sorry, using my mouse here. Ooh, did I just lose everybody? Okay. Um, so for those of you who aren't incredibly familiar with OK Career Guide, it is a research driven process that walks students through a really straightforward model or framework for career awareness and development. Essentially, we want to learn a little bit about ourselves by taking some surveys. Then we want to connect that to um, jobs and education that's available to get those jobs. We want to begin to build a plan for education through learning about what type of majors and career programs could I participate in? What type of certifications do I need? Where can I get that education right in Oklahoma? And then connect that to the world of work as well. So learning about businesses that provide those opportunities in the state, and maybe getting some hands-on activity as well to see what that job looks like in the real world. And not coincidentally, that follows the ICAP process pretty well. So ICAP meaning the 5 components of ICAP, right? So we learn about ourselves through surveys. We write some goals on how we're going to accomplish what we're going to accomplish throughout high school. Then we create our intentional sequence of courses, or our program of study would be one way to think of it, that simply lays out how we're going to meet those goals. And then we want to monitor our academic progress. And then finally, we want to get our hands on the job in the real world, right? And again, for those of you who are super familiar with Career Guide or even ICAP, bear with me with just a few slides on how this all connects, to make sure that anybody who's not familiar gets everything they need. So how does Career Guide address the different components of ICAP? Well, again, through the interest surveys, we have 3 of them: a career interest, a skills competence, and a work values assessment. All together, that takes about half an hour, 25 minutes to half an hour. And it gives students a great opportunity to learn. Some schools are doing them all every year, all 3 of them every year. Some schools are staggering them out to where they're doing the interest assessment, then the skills confidence, then the work values, and they're cycling back. It just totally it depends on what makes sense to your school. We of course need to have some written post-secondary and workforce goals. We do that through the My Goals and My Ed Plan section. And we just want to monitor, we want to create some really good, smart goals for all the research that we hopefully just did, learning about careers in college, and then how we're going to accomplish that. We then want to come up with a sequence of courses of how we're going to make progress towards those goals. And we want to update that annually, of course. And then we want to measure progress somehow, if that is a test score, if that is assessments, credits that we've earned, grades, AP scores, ACT, SAT, certificates, endorsements, that sort of thing. And then finally, we want that work-based learning experience, and we do that through the connected business aspect. So inside the system, we have our 3 interest inventories right there in the middle of the page. This is the landing page inside the system. So you have the career interest, skills, confidence, and work values. And I get a nifty little graph showing me how I've performed on those and what lines up with what I'm most interested in. I then take a very customized dive into exploring college and career interest. So now I'm looking at a specific occupation, and I can get some really valuable information, such as how much does it pay? What kind of education do I need? What's the outlook? Is it a growing job? Where can I get the education in Oklahoma? What does the job actually look like? I can watch some videos, that sort of thing. Once I've done all that research is when I can go and begin to build my goals. This is where I would come up with some career goals, some academic goals that simply state what I plan to do to learn more about that specific career or the education needed for that career. Inside the system, students can create their education plan. And again, this is just their course of study or their program of study. And for those of you who have customized your school's plan, you know that it can be a bit of a bear. So it is somewhat of a labor-intensive process, but whenever you do have it customized to what you offer at your school, it becomes much more usable. So right now we're looking at the plan for Moore High School. And I see that we've got things broken down to our core areas, which includes college courses and courses at Moore Norman Tech Center. And then we also have our elective courses that are somewhat broken up into both career tech and then just career field areas. And so students can track what they're trying to accomplish throughout high school and there. Of course, we don't expect that a ninth grader is going to plan out the next 6 years of their life, but we do think that they could, put in some of those basic building blocks. We know they've got to take English 1, 2, 3, and 4, that sort of thing. Additionally, they're able to search businesses and work-based learning opportunities. And so that, again, happens through the connected business component, and students are able to look at just businesses in general or customize it to their specific cluster of interest or even their specific occupation of interest. All this begins to build to the ICAP cards, and this is what we'll spend the rest of the day talking about. The rest of the day, it's not a super long webinar. We'll talk about how these cards, how you can collect the information, how you can customize them. And so on here, what I've got is just some basic ones that we use for the state level, but you can customize them to match what makes sense for your school, and students can just monitor it. So again, we're trying to put it back in the hands of the student, making a student-driven process. Then we can also collect that information on a report out, which shows what was done, when it was completed, or if it's still in progress, and gives me a timestamp as well. So we're going to jump into the system here in just a moment, and you're welcome to come along with me or stay just watching the webinar. But if you would like to join and you don't have a student account, you can use our statewide sample account. That's just sample student for both username and password. So use sample student for username and password, or you're welcome to use your own. And as we transition here in just a moment, I wanted to put up my contact information again. Again, I'm AJ Kroll. There's my email. Nathan Brubaker is our go-to Galaxy expert. Galaxy is the elementary version of OKCareerGuide. It is an age-appropriate, fantastic, space-themed web-based activity where you learn all about career exploration and awareness. It's not about specific jobs. It's about asking questions like, what is work? Why do people go to work? Where do people go to work? And it's a really, really neat activity. It could be teacher-driven, student-led, whatever makes sense for your environment. But if you want more information on that, I recommend that you contact Nate. You can also request specific training. If you'd like us to come out and do a training at your school, you can go to our website, okcareer.tech/CAC, or the easiest thing is probably just shoot me an email. Just shoot me an email, say, AJ, we'd like to get some training, and I'll shoot the form out to you. Or we can schedule more of these webinars. So I'm going to stop sharing for just a moment. Okay. And I don't see any questions over here in the chat box yet. So I'm gonna start sharing the web page. As we go along, please feel free to ask questions. I'm gonna take it that you already know what we're doing. So we're gonna just jump right in here to the system. So I will say that I learned from my friend Latoya down in Lawton recently that if you do a private web browsing session, so I'm using Safari. So if you use a private Safari window, or if you're using Chrome, you do like Chrome incognito, that you can actually use both the admin side and the student side at the same time. I spent many times frustrated trying to get in and out of the student system, going to the admin side, get in and out of the admin side, going to the student. Turns out you just use incognito and it works for you. Some of you probably already knew that, but if you didn't, there's a little pro tip for you. So I'm on the OKCareerGuide landing page, and I'm gonna click on the drop down for login. I'm just gonna scroll down here to OKCG login and insert my fake student account information. And here I am on the home page, the dashboard. So I mentioned earlier about the My Goals and the My Ed plan. That stuff is found down here towards the bottom of the list. We've got the My Goals section with the little target icon and the My Ed plans. Those components. The My Goals section takes just a few minutes to implement. Make sure your students have really well written goals, descriptive goals, so that they can you can monitor or you can track that. But let's see, we got a question. But if you have the ed plan, if it's not customized, it's a little bit messy for the state default system. But if you'd like some help customizing it, I can help you, or I can send you some examples of people that have done it. And now I'm going to come over here to ICAP Oklahoma. So you should have the ICAP Oklahoma feature available for your students. That should have been pushed out about a month ago, and it should show up for everyone now. If it's not showing up for you, shoot me an email or mention it in the chat box and tell me where you're from. I did run into an issue earlier on in November, whenever it was supposed to be out for everybody, that I had a counselor who wasn't seeing it. So it's possible that you're not seeing it, but if you just let me know, we'll make sure to get that fixed. Excuse me. So the whole point of ICAP Oklahoma is to help students begin to take ownership. Well, the whole point of ICAP is to help students take ownership of their career and academic future. And so this allows you to do that through these nifty little cards. And what I love about these cards is that most of them are responsive to the system. And what I mean by that is I can't simply go up and down and check boxes to say that I've completed these assessments. I actually have to go over and take those assessments before it will check those boxes. Now, if you have students that have already been in the system, like many of you have, it'll check those boxes for the students when they log back in. So once it's live for you, anything that's already happened will be checked off. When we come down here a little bit further, I have created a few custom cards here. So I have my work-based learning card, and the custom cards are student driven, right? So the system has no way of knowing if I've actually gone out and done an internship. So it is up to the student to self-report that they've completed an internship, and they just simply check that. And I see my little gas tank up here fill up a little bit more. And then when I've completed all these, they'll turn green. Now, it's obviously not likely that a student is going to do 6 different work-based learning activities. So this is a card that you would probably want to customize for your own school. I just put it up here, and I tried to include everything I could think of that would, at the time, I knew would cover work-based learning aspect of ICAP. Additionally, if you have graduation requirements, I mean, we've got like the CPR awareness, personal financial literacy, you can include those. If you have anything that you have as a requirement for your students, in addition to the state mandates, you can include that on here as well. So I put the required assessments and that sort of thing, and then just go through and click off that I've completed it, or I can unclick it. Now, students can come up here to the actions box, and they can take a look at what their card looks like. And again, here I have specifically what I've done in the system, whether or not it's been completed or not, and then the date that it was completed. And I have that for all the cards available. And then in addition to that, at the very bottom, I have the last time that I submitted it for review, so 11/1, the last time an administrator looked at it and signed off on it, so AJ signed off on it on 11/26. And then if I had a parent in the system, I could also track whether or not a parent has signed off and updated it. So this is just one more way that you are providing an opportunity for parents to be involved in this process, and you can track it here. When a student selects under the actions box submit for review, then it will show up on the admin side for me to go in and take a look at. You probably want to have some kind of a process in place for when you're going to have students submit for review, and when you plan to go in and check it off and run your report to demonstrate that you have collected all the information you need for your accreditation officer. Because if I were to select submit for review again right now, I believe it would wipe out my school review, because my date over here would update to today, 12/3, and then it would be waiting for the next review. And so whenever I go into the admin side, it would say ready for review versus reviewed. So that is what it looks like on the student side without logging out, because I'm in the private web version now. So I'm going to go ahead and log into the admin side. So to get to the ICAP Oklahoma feature, we're going to go to the Tools and Resources tab and scroll down just a little bit below the Curriculum Manager to the ICAP Oklahoma big old checkbox. And that takes me to this page. So the page that we're looking at right now is essentially the backside, or the admin side of these cards. So each one of these little boxes here correlate to one of the cards on the student side. And I can go through and I can check these little eyes, and they will turn the card on or off. Or for the ones that are native to the system, I can move them up and down the system, up and down, and reorganize. Additionally, I can go to the top and select add a section. And this is where you could customize things. So for instance, if your school requires students to attend a career fair, you could name it. So this could be a work-based, sorry, I know my keyboard's making everything bounce. Let's see if this works. Yeah, that works. Okay. So let's add a new card. So this will be a work-based learning activity. And this I'm going to describe it. So this card collects work-based learning activities. And then we need to come up with the tasks that a student would check off. So I might type in career fair, and I might add college visit, tech center visit, or any other activities that that I require. And then I can just simply hit save. So now it's saved. And let's see if I need to, so it didn't automatically turn on. So I just come over and click that little eye, and I re-hit submit. Got my plan saved. I'm gonna wait for that to refresh. Now I'm gonna come over here to my student side, and I'm just gonna refresh that page. And now I have my new card. They can go through and click off, and hey, I did it all today. Without meaning to, I did bring up one of the issues that you will face with this being a student-driven system. You will need to have some form of accountability with whoever is responsible for the student's ICAP. So if that is a homeroom teacher, or an advisor, or a counselor, or their English teacher, whatever that looks like, obviously you're going to want to have some kind of a reflection activity where they'll submit that, yes, they actually attended the career fair, here's what they learned, or here's who they talked to, and that sort of thing. So that is how to customize things on the card. I'm going to go ahead and turn that off. Currently, let me make sure I'm still correct on this. Yeah, so currently there is not a way to delete cards. That is something that I have brought up to the dev team, and they said, oh, you're right. They seemed kind of surprised by the fact that they're not able to delete cards. So my hope is that that will be a feature that gets pushed out when they with the next run of things. But just currently, just a heads up, if you're going into the system just creating cards for the fun of it, they will be there. You can turn them off. So I've turned mine off. And hit submit. I'm gonna go over here to the student side again and refresh, and it's gone on the student view, but I just have an extra one down here. So just a heads up on that. So that is how we customize the cards. You are welcome to come over here and turn off any of these, when you're in your admin side of the system, you're welcome to turn these off. If you find that they're not helpful, or you want to create your own work-based learning card, I am sure that you probably don't want yours to have all that information on there. Maybe you want to have yours look a little different. So feel free to turn that off and customize it for yourself. I'm going to scroll up to the top, and I'm just going to hit the OK Career Guide logo. And just as a heads up, this is going to be the format of the new admin system. They are in the process of redeveloping it, and I've seen what they want to do with it. It looks pretty cool, but it's going to look like this from now on. They're moving away from this version, this tab-driven version, and it's going to be much more menu-focused over here. What I'm going to go to now is this detailed report by students. And again, you should have access to this. This should be showing up in your admin side. And what I'm able to do here is I can filter from time, I can filter by grade, and I can filter by student keywords. So either student names or letters, or if I group them somehow, and then I can show me my ready for review, whether they've been reviewed, started, or just any status. So I'm going to do ready for review. So these are the individuals in the system who have submitted theirs for review. I can see some of them did it today. Jenny's got hers. So Jenny, I'm going to go ahead. I'm going to pull yours up real quick. We'll demonstrate. I'll go into the system. I'll say, look, Jenny is doing great on her assessments. She submitted her education plan, and goodness gracious, I need to go in. I need to review that. And you know what? I'm going to say, Jenny, you're doing great. So I'm just going to sign off on it real quick. And that should be good to go. So now I go back and I can keep browsing to the next student and scroll on. We did get a request. Oh, I should say, someone asked one time with the education plans, hey, can we do a batch approval? And the response was that they've done batch approvals in the past, and it went horribly wrong. That we had students with approved education plans that had one or no courses in them and had obviously not been looked at, but were approved in the system. And so that's why it is a one-by-one system. And you have to go one by one to approve them. Essentially, that's how you pull up the individual reports that I showed you that I think are pretty fabulous. Not this, this, where it tracks everybody. You can, you just simply click either the print button or the eye or any of the icons, and you can print them out. So, just show you an example. Now again, this is a one-on-one or a one-by-one process. I have requested that they change it to where we can batch print, and I'm waiting to hear back on that. So just as a heads up, I immediately thought, wow, this is awesome. And then I thought, oh, this is labor intensive. So I have put that request in. We'll see if that changes, if that happens. Any questions on how to go through and do any approvals? You can also run reports. So I'm going to run a report of everybody who's been reviewed, which is, okay. So if I wanted to run a report, I would just click Excel or PDF, and I would open that up. Where's my Excel document? Okay. Oh, go away, Zoom. There we go. So now I have the name of the students, what grades they're in, the status, whether they're reviewed or if they were needing review, etc. The last time it was updated, and then, this is my timestamp here. Kina says, protect using, this is why I need two people to read questions. Okay, I have not started changing the grade, and it will show up as freshmen. Can we change that on our end? Okay, yes. So Kina has a great question about changing student grades. Or just grade freshman, junior, sophomore, that sort of thing, right? I'll say that it is easiest to have students update it themselves. I know that's not always going to happen. That's not going to work for every situation, but I'll say that the easiest process for updating student grades It's either at the very beginning of the year when everybody first gets into the system, or at the very end of the year, the last activity you do is to say, all right, everybody, update your grade. And I'll show you how to do that. If that is just not possible, you can update grades on the admin side, going to the administration and finding specific users. It is a one-by-one process. It is not user-friendly. So you can update it, but you can't update just a whole list of students to the next grade. You can't find a list of all 9th graders, select their names, and transition them to 8th grade. You can move 8th graders to 9th grade. You can move them from school to school, but you can't move them from grade to grade except by doing it one by one. Now, if they were in the system, I would just say, hey, Rumble, come over here, right underneath your little picture, and update your grade, and you're good to go. Make sure they hit refresh so that the system refreshes and they're good to go. So back to the ICAP plans. The next component, and I'm not positive if you have the sections report yet. I don't know if that's showing up to you yet or if it's just me, but if it's not showing up to you, then this is a taste of what's to come. This allows me to run a report based on the sections of my ICAP plan. So here are the system-driven sections. So here's like my assessments. And I want to just see my 9th graders. And I want to see any of them. And so I can see, I can run a quick report. I'm not going to open up Excel again because my computer sounded like it wanted to take off. But I can see my student name, the grade they're in, which, I guess I will, which assessment they've done, and there should be a timestamp as well. Let's just go ahead and open up this report. Okay, there's not a timestamp on here, but you could indicate the time that you ran this report, which would show you who has done what, who has not done what. Same thing over here for things like the goals section. I'm going to narrow that down to my 9th graders. And I can see that Alan has completed one of his goals, and the rest of us really need to get moving. We've not completed any goals. But I can run reports as a whole, or I can run a report on a specific student. I believe this is the ICAP report. Yeah, there we go. So if you don't have that available, if you're not seeing that, it was section reports by student, then that is soon to come. And just to give you a taste of what the new system is going to look like, it'll have this thing called the dashboard. And it will open up like this that demonstrates the main components of the system and your progress on them. So for instance, we've got 1,800 students in the training site. So basically 1,800 fake accounts. And here I can track how many students are in which grade. So I get a quick demographic. I can see how many students have added their signature. I can run a quick report for that. I can take a look at it. So these are all the students that I believe have submitted their ICAP. So this shouldn't be available. Yeah, this shouldn't be available for you yet because they're still kind of working out the kinks. But you'll see this dashboard pop up over here. And I think it's pretty cool. And you'll have these options, it'll have this little hamburger icon, and you can go to the different options that are available. Just like you can in the admin side, these tabs that are up here will turn into options over here. So we have talked about the different aspects of ICAP inside the system. We've taken a look at what students see. We've taken a look at how to customize it on your end, as well as how to report on it. So are there any other questions? Still, I'm not sure that I'm in. Okay. Are there any other questions before we sign off? while you're thinking of those or typing those in, I'm planning to start hosting these on a somewhat regular basis and covering just the little components. I didn't expect this one to be 45 minutes long. My goal is to try and keep them to about half an hour, but try and keep them to half an hour, hoping that they will be component specific. So for instance, how to do the resume section, how to walk students through the resume section, how to get students using the goal section. I'm sure it'll go beyond 30 minutes on talking about the education plans and how to customize those and all that stuff. Yes, this is recorded, and I'm going to post this on YouTube and send out a link to everybody who registered. And I'm hoping to start creating some helpful short little training videos and getting those up on YouTube as well. I've just got to be in my office to do that. And I'm finally not living in my car for at least a few weeks. Any other questions that you all might have before we're done for the day? I'd just like to say thank you for participating. Thank you for being here. And thank you for what you do for our students. I miss being in the classroom, so I get to kind of live vicariously through you all and hear your awesome stories and take that home. So if there's nothing else, I really appreciate y'all. And feel free to send me any other questions to my email. I should probably put my contact info back up. Okay. Other than that, hope you have a great day. We'll see you later.